All right, guys, it's good to be with you on a Tuesday. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us on the I Love CVille Show. We're live for Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world. Today's show is going to be impactful. Yesterday's show determined and influenced the conversation on City Council. And in fact, I'll cut to the chase. Due to the conversations that we had for about an hour and change on yesterday's show, it influenced Mayor Walker multiple times to offer perspective during the council meeting on indoor dining. We are going to welcome two restaurant owners to today's show, and Daniel Kaufman and Elaina Mangione. And these restaurant owners, we're going to just give them a platform, a microphone, where they are able to share their thoughts and what's going through their mind as we head into the winter months. I'm going to recap some things before we do. We're also going to play some sound, some video and some sound from yesterday's council meeting with Mayor Walker and an interaction she had with Councilor Lloyd Snook, who I just saw outside our studio here, and her take on indoor dining. Basically, this is what's happened over the weekend. The mayor put on her Facebook page a post. Do you still have that post from yesterday, Judah? If you still have it, get that on screen. Judah Wickhauer is our fabulous director. Over the weekend, she put a post on her Facebook page about the need to ban indoor dining. As you can imagine, that's on screen now. All right, it's on screen now, so look at the screen. As you can imagine, when we're heading into the winter months, when outside seating is going to be deprioritized because of chilly temperatures, the need for indoor dining is going to be more important than ever if this industry, which is a foundational industry for Central Virginia, for Charlottesville, for tourism, for Albemarle County, if the industry is going to survive, it's going to need to be, the inside dining is going to have to be prioritized, and it's going to be able to be done safely. I mean, there's no one that is more committed to doing things safely than restaurant owners and their staff. Their livelihood depends on it. So they're going out of their way to make sure things are done safely. So she says this: we need to ban indoor dining immediately, referencing an article from Massachusetts. And of course, this really impact a lot of people. Got a lot of people frustrated and upset and frankly saying she's not seeing the forest through the trees, including me. I'm going to play some sound from yesterday's council meeting where she's talking about indoor dining and she interacts with Lloyd Snook. So that's coming up here in a matter of moments. I also was sent an email today by her, which I will read that email to you on today's program. So a lot we're going to cover. One of the things I wish I had done a better job of covering yesterday was discussing the supply chain that's tied to restaurants. So shutting indoor dining down does not only impact the wait staff, the bartenders, the back of the house, the prep cooks, the line cooks, the chefs, the dishwashers, the restaurant owners themselves. Folks, think about all the folks that are in this ecosystem. You have bookkeepers, accountants. You have farmers that provide produce. You have farmers that provide protein. You have folks that are maintaining the integrity of the outside of the building. Maybe it's painting the building. Maybe it's cleaning the gutters outside the building. Maybe it's doing the pest mitigation outside the building. You have the uniform companies that are a part of the supply chain. You have the graphic designers, the chalkboard artists for the chalkboard menus. You have the folks that do the signage for the outside of the building, right? You have the wedding planners that are working alongside the restaurants, helping plan a rehearsal dinner, right? You have so many various vendors that are associated with the restaurant supply chain. So for us to turn our back on the industry for the fear that this pandemic will spread more rapidly through indoor dining is in fact not only turning our backs on the restaurant owners, but also all those vendors that I just outlined on the supply chain. It will have a tremendous ripple and domino effect for every closure that we have in this industry. It is not just staff losing their job. It is not just restaurant owners losing their blood, sweat, and tears and all this equity they put into this small, medium-sized business. It's the supply chain that services this massive industry that will also be impacted. Please, 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 we should all be aware. Now, Judah Wickhauer is our fabulous director. Before I read the email this morning from Mayor Walker, I'd like to get the sound in the video from yesterday's city council meeting. Do you have that ready to go?
I do.
Okay, so this is Mayor Walker's response to Mr. Van Dorn. And Mr. Van Dorn is in charge of the restaurant, is in charge of the Charlottesville chapter of the Restaurant, Lodging, and Tourism Association. So Mr. Van Dorn spoke, and I was impressed with what he did in 3 minutes. It's very difficult to really get your entire point across in a limited time frame of 3 minutes, which is what you're allowed before council meetings. So Mr. Van Dorn did a good job of speaking before council. After he spoke, the mayor went on about a 2-minute diatribe, and then Councilor Lloyd Snook tried to chime in, and then she quickly shot him down. So I want you to listen to this 3 minutes of video, and then we're going to reach out to Daniel Kaufman about Public Fish and Oyster. I'm also going to read the email that I was sent this morning. It's 6 minutes, the video. Okay, so Daniel, we will go to you if you're watching. We're going to go to you after this video we're playing from Mayor Walker on council. She's watching now. We see that she's watching it. All right, so let's play the sound from yesterday's council meeting. 3, 2, 1.
Comment. I did reference this through earlier, but I had a Facebook post, and if people would read the article versus just and it's in quotes, so that means that I was quoting the article, which is what I typically do. It says we need to ban outdoor dining immediately. We need some other restrictions as well for a few weeks. If we don't, our R, which is the reproductive rate of COVID-19, could skyrocket, and a full shutdown may become necessary. And this was an article that was quoting, I took a screenshot of the picture, but I think it was maybe Minnesota, where the doctor that was quoted in that article. And as we had the discussion during COVID, and I replied to some of the emails that we were receiving earlier today, part of our job is to look at the whole and to share information accordingly. And for me, since before many people were taking this pandemic seriously because of my public health background and things that I already did on a day-to-day basis before the pandemic, I knew where we might end up here. And so I've been sharing information with individuals so that they can protect themselves, because truly, locally, state level, and federally, we haven't been making the best decisions. Dr. Bonds was talking earlier about some of the information that she's been receiving. And if you go on, if you just Google CDC or World Health Organization, you will see a lot of feedback for them about what information they're deciding to share, what has been scientifically proven. So that means if we're talking about something like COVID-19, people have to get ill, they have to pass away before we have the data to back that up. And so I've been more on the, introducing the community through Facebook, more preventative measures so that they won't have those unnecessary and dire consequences that our state officials will only apologize for, but they won't be able to bring you or your loved ones back to life. So that was just one of the articles of many that I've been sharing since March to just help people understand how to better care for themselves. I also understand the dilemma that the restaurant industry finds itself in. I know a lot of people who've picked up employment driving for like DoorDash and things like that. So they are really busy. So people are buying food. And we've asked for, or at least I've asked for some of those numbers on how restaurants are doing in the area, that it is important. But I will always, my foundation will always be public health, and anything else we can fix. And people, even if businesses fail, they can start another business, which I know is not the goal of anybody who put their life. I have family members who own small businesses, but what we cannot do is bring somebody back to life if they die. And so my concern will always be to try to prevent that, because we don't know, once this virus is introduced to someone, how it will affect them. And I sent the email just stating that I've encouraged people to pick up, have their food delivered to them. I have said tip well, because if you're not sitting and getting good service and able to tip at the end of that, that you still understand during these times, if you have the means to tip, that you should do it. So I've been encouraging all those things as well.
Mayor Walker, I think the article that you're referring to, at least the one that was forwarded to me, is from Massachusetts, from Boston. The doctor who was writing it was talking specifically about the problem in Boston and in Massachusetts, where the rate of transmission is about 1.20 or 1.21 today, versus in Charlottesville and Albemarle and Virginia as a whole, where it's about 0.9 or so. But it was a very specific argument for very specifically Massachusetts and Boston's experience.
Yeah, but Lloyd, if you've been following suit, then this virus and how it transmits, just like all of those students who came from around the globe, it doesn't matter if you're talking about numbers in a certain area. You can Google an article where over 239 scientists from across the globe sent a letter to the World Health Organization telling them that they were downplaying very important information that could keep people alive. We know what's been happening at a federal level from the CDC, and this is not about location, this is about science, and the science is going to be good everywhere. And so and I don't even know if our doctors would speak up locally. I know there was a change.org, and I'll see if I can find that before the end of this meeting, form going around where some of them signed on too. So I'll see if I can find that before I share any information. But how we're not talking about just locally here. We're talking about indoor dining. You can go to the World Health Organization. You can Google it in a New York Times article related to COVID. Dr. Bonds just mentioned it. The transmission rate is higher than if you're outside. The more people that are in a room together, the more likely there is for the virus to be transmitted. You've been hearing things like super spreader events. And so I did not remember the exact location, couldn't pull that up, but that is almost, it's irrelevant for this conversation. It's that people will stay healthier if they stay within the unit, family unit, the individuals they live with. Once they step outside their door, we have less control over whether they remain healthy at this point, and we need to make decisions accordingly.
Okay, so much to uncover and so much to unpack, okay? And Mayor Walker has now posted on her Facebook page roughly 12 minutes ago, right after this show started, about this very topic influenced by the show. Get the screenshot up of what she just posted, please. It's on screen. Look at the screen now. Posted 15 minutes ago. Our show started 19 minutes ago. So our show starts 19 minutes ago, and 4 minutes after we start the show, when we're leading with this topic, she posts on this very topic. This is an absolute correlation and shows the influence. So keep the Facebook post from her page on screen. This is now 16 minutes ago. Our show started 20 minutes ago. This is an article about Massachusetts. The point is irrelevant. There is science behind the risk factors behind indoor dining. My role is to not only consider the economic interests of restaurants, we need to ensure that the public and employees understand how to take care of their health. Physical and financial health is important. Public health is a respected field. Wow, so much to unpack. And I hope you're still watching here, Mayor Walker. The thing that I found from your comments on council last night, very frustrating, was when you made this comment. Even if a business fails, they can go and start another business. That is an absurd statement from the mayor. That is synonymous, and someone just left this comment on the stream. I will leave your name out of the comment, but I agree 100% with what you just said, and you know who you are and the influence you have on this program. That's like saying if you riot and destroy a business, they'll be fine because they have business insurance. And that's a very good point right there. So, just because you have a business and it fails, yes, you can start another one. That doesn't mean that there's going to be collateral damage, devastation. That doesn't mean there's going to be heartbreak. That doesn't mean that there's going to be unemployment, people that are in dark, dark places. And to marginalize people's hard work and sweat equity when they've put in Daniel Kaufman, and he said this yesterday on council during his 3 minutes, my mother passed away. She left me a very small inheritance, and I utilized that inheritance to continue her legacy, and now we have Public Fish and Oyster, one of the best restaurants in Charlottesville. So to marginalize the hard work, I'll put it in perspective with me. My business is 12 and a half years old. 12 and a half years old. I've taken one vacation in 12 and a half years. I work 70 hours a week, every week. I work on holidays constantly, just about every one. And I do it because, yes, I love what I do, but I have people that rely upon me for a check, for their pay, to cover their bills. I do it because I want eventually if he chooses, maybe my son gets involved. If not, that's totally fine too. I do it because I care, because I'm passionate. And for a comment to be made by the number one elected official in the city that, quote, even if businesses fail, they can start other businesses again, that I got to call absolute BS on. That's just that's like spitting in my face. That's like spitting in the face of anybody who's ever started a business, literally. I'm going to get to Daniel Kaufman and then Elaina Mangione. I'm fired up today. Daniel Kaufman, your phone is ringing. We're going to spend some time talking with the man who owns 2 restaurants in the city of Charlottesville, Public and Pronto. We have him on the line. We have tremendous respect for this individual and for what he has built in, I believe, 6 or 7 years on West Main Street. His brand, Public, one of the best in the community. You were vulnerable, you were honest, you were genuine, Daniel, you were authentic in yesterday's council meeting. I thought you were rudely cut off and you were not given an opportunity to finish your thought, which I was frustrated with. In this particular show, you can take as long as you want and say whatever you want, and I'm going to get out of your way. Daniel, the show is yours.
Well, thank you for having me on, and I would agree to just I disagree with you on that. I got my 3 minutes. 3 minutes is the rules, and the rules were that. So it has to be respected. So I don't hold any grudge about that. I got my 3 minutes like everybody else did. A little bit about what I said last night and about my business. I started Public in 2014. My mother passed away in 2011, and left me a small inheritance, like you mentioned, and I took the $60,000 cash I got from that, and I was able to, with taking on a lot of debt as well, get Public open. And some of that debt still exists. I'm still paying a note on that as well. However, I was able to build a thriving business, and it all got really dark, in March when we got the call to shut down, and that was one of the worst days of my life. Immediately having to lay off all my staff who had been with me for years, and at the time, it was even scarier. We didn't know what was in store for them. At the time, unemployment was nothing, and I was telling everyone, get on unemployment. And one of the things we did, we were able to raise some money through a little promotion. We sold golden tickets, and basically, guests are now redeeming those, but we sold them for $125 a piece. You get the ultimate shellfish experience when you redeem it. And I gave all the cash to the staff and said, it's something, but it didn't seem like enough at the time. Luckily, regardless of how you feel about it, I think the CARES Act did help. The Paycheck Protection Program, again, not perfect by any means. I wouldn't have done it this way. However, it kept our doors open, and it kept us functioning through the takeout-only period. That was a weird time for us because we were a restaurant that wasn't necessarily tailored well for takeout. However, the community did get behind it to a certain extent. We were doing a fraction of the sales, but the fact that our rent was paid and our labor was paid, it kept us afloat. What's really nerve-wracking about what's happening, the potential result of an indoor closing, again, is we don't have a PPP anymore. There's no bailout anymore. There's no safety net. There's not even the same unemployment available. I just wrote a payroll today, a rather large payroll to my staff for 20 employees. We were putting 20 people back together for public, another 14 people back together for my other restaurant, Pronto, on the corner. If we go to takeout only, I can't keep these people on staff. I got to put them on unemployment again, where there's nothing. I want to add something that I did try to get in last night. I didn't have time. I really would have liked to make this point. I think one thing that's remarkable about the Charlottesville restaurant scene is how seriously we are taking this. We're taking this a step further beyond, local mandates as well. I won't say where I was because I don't want to call anybody out, but I was in another city recently and had a lot of trouble finding a restaurant because we go into these restaurants and the staff aren't masked and the guests aren't separated and nothing was being done. It was amazing to see this sort of behavior happening coming from Charlottesville, where I know we are busting our butts to ensure that not only are we towing the line with some of these precautions, we're taking it a step further. For example, guests in my restaurant, you're required to be masked when you come in, you're required to be masked if you leave the table, but you're also required to be masked when my staff are at the table. And some guests push back, and usually you can see them coming. Some guests push back, and some guests leave nasty reviews, but way more of them leave great reviews about the precautions we're taking, and they really appreciate that we're doing that. And most of us, at least, my peers I speak with on a day-to-day basis, are operating under these same sort of safety measures as well. It's getting cold, and less and less availability is out there on my patio. I don't know what happens if I lose these seats inside. I really don't. We've spaced our tables. We're operating below 50% capacity. I was already a little nervous what's going to happen going into the winter with the possibility of losing patio seating because I don't know who's going to sit outside if it's 34 degrees, heaters or not. And then, we've got this tent on our patio. If I put walls on the tent to keep the heat in, aren't I serving indoors then? I mean, I'm really confused and I'm really nervous and my peers are really nervous. My friends who are in the restaurant industry are nervous. Staff are nervous. We want to keep doing the things we've been doing safely, and I feel like we can do that. There may be a few places out there in violation of some of these restrictions, but the vast majority of us are not only towing the line on this one, we're taking it a step further because we care about our customers. We really do. We care about our staff. All my staff are aware of the inherent risks of doing this, but the second they walk into this building to the second they leave this building, you got a mask on. You're going to hear from me if you don't have a mask on. I'm nervous, and my friends are nervous. We want to keep doing what we're doing. We care a lot about our businesses, but even more, we care about this community. And I think we are very much, one of the defining factors of this community. People from all over come to my restaurant. People of all different religions, colors, creeds. I love how many different types of people. In fact, when I named this restaurant Public, I was implying we are for everyone. And I take a lot of pride that I see everyone in here. I really do. I have a patio. A few of my neighbors have patios. Your next guest, Elaina, a friend of mine right up the road, she has no patio at her restaurant. I don't. What do you do? I can't start from scratch. I got my heart and soul in this. This restaurant means a lot to me. I think this restaurant means a lot to the community. I know this restaurant means a lot to my staff. I'm scared. I'm nervous, and we're fingers crossed that we're able to keep doing what we're doing, because we really intend to keep doing this safely and responsibly and taking this very, very seriously.
You're getting a lot of props. You have 2 city councilors, 1 board of supervisor watching. You got the Charlottesville city government page watching right now. I'm going to ask your take on this statement, and I'm going to give you a moment to think about the statement, because I'm going to relay comments that are coming in, people giving you props and showing you support and public support. So here's the statement I want you to think about, and then I'll relay the comments from the guests so you have some time to think. The mayor says even if a business fails, they can start another business again if they want to. So I want to get your take on that. Before I do, you have an opportunity to think about this. Patty Zeller, who loves your restaurant, is watching right now. She loves Daniel Kaufman. She loves Public. She says this is the spot we go to celebrate big-time events for us and the family. She said restaurants are being super responsible. They need the opportunity to have tents on side streets, downtown, outdoor heaters, and every opportunity possible to keep their business solvent. I 100% support restaurants in Charlottesville. Barbara Lundgren, if restaurants are considered or compared to super spreaders, wouldn't they have been shut down by now? Of course they would. They are not super spreaders. They are acting safely, and they are doing it because their livelihoods and their dreams depend on it. Lisa Lambrinos says this: that's an absurd statement from the mayor when people, especially those in restaurants, are risking everything to keep their businesses afloat. They cannot just start a new business. Ben D'Alessandro from the Virginia Basketball Academy watching the show, he offers a great comment. If someone has personal firsthand experience starting and running their own business, taking risk with personnel, with staff, with investor capital, with employees, making payroll, balancing budgets, then they can speak on this subject. If they have no experience running a business, then saying, quote, "we understand," end quote, is not a legitimate, credible statement, and that's legitimately tied directly to the mayor. You got Greg Lewis at Maya watching. Elaina Mangione is giving you props right now. She says you're making her cry. She's crying right now before she goes on air. Judah is telling me 26 different restaurant owners watching you on the show. What did you make of this statement when she said, even if a business fails, they can start another business if they want?
I mean, if your kid dies, you'd always have another kid, right? I mean, it's the same sort of mentality. These are things that we love. It's not that simple. This is my child. If I lost this, it would be like losing my child. My family is here. Everything that maybe that's not the best metaphor, but
I can totally relate to that. I call the business my kid too.
This business means a lot to me, and I've put so much into this over the last few years, and I have other people who have put so much into the last few years. We just want the opportunity to keep doing what we're doing. I love this city, and I love the support that this city is giving us. And I have to give Mayor Walker some credit. I don't think she's making this thought out of. She's not being malicious. I just don't think she has all the facts. And I invite her to come in for dinner sometime. I think she'd enjoy herself, whether she wants to sit on the patio, which is an option, or dine inside and see all the things that we are doing here. And again, thank you to the members of City Council and to the mayor for taking their time out to listen to this, because I think it's really important that they hear just how damaging I think a decision like this could be to so many people. We're an industry that that cares so much about our clientele and about our community. Without our clientele and our community, we wouldn't be here. And I had $1,000 left in the bank the day that I opened this restaurant, and it was able to, make a good life for me and mine, and for a lot of people as well, who support me in this endeavor. I wish they could see the steps that we're taking on a day-to-day basis. I'll say it one more time. The vast majority of us are not only taking this seriously, we're taking this as if our lives and our businesses depend on it. And I hope we can keep doing what we're doing. I really do. And I ask them to please just trust us on this one. Please. It would be bad. It would be bad.
Give us a glimpse on the emotion and the vulnerability you're feeling here. We heard your voice crack last night on council.
I'm spitballing here. I don't have a speech written, and if I did, it would probably sound far more eloquent and I'm scared, and a lot of us are, and we're asking you, please don't consider doing this. It would just be awful. It would be really, really awful. We're hoping that something comes through the pipelines as far as some relief. If this does happen, it would be the only thing to keep us afloat. I know there's so many of us that are just teetering on the edge of survival right now. Even with the restrictions in place and being able to do what we're doing, it would just, to cut another leg out from under us would. This city is going to look really different, and I don't think in a good way. If we were to go, I really, taking. I don't have the numbers in front of me as far as how many people we employ as well, but to think what that alone would do to the community, because unemployment is not what it used to be. No one's getting by on $350 a week, and if you look online right now, you get on Indeed, you get on Craigslist. The only ones hiring right now are restaurants. We're the only ones hiring right now. I think I just can't imagine what this.
I'm going to give you. You have so many happy customers singing Public's praises right now on the show, and I'm going to relay this to you. Iris Lux says, "Don't give up, Daniel. We love your restaurant." Angie Stevens Boyds is giving you love. John Pritzloff is giving you some love right now. Grace is watching, saying, "Daniel, whether you know this or not, Public is the restaurant we go to celebrate special occasions. We have photos with our kids and with their grandparents at your restaurant that we cherish. Thank you for providing
nice
Public to this community."
And even with the current restrictions in place, we've done okay, and I say okay. It's not been stellar. Managed to get by. We're there. We're the hemorrhaging has stopped. The hemorrhaging that occurred March through the first half of the summer has stopped, and that was with the help of the PPP, and then being able to reopen in our limited capacity. And I'm only speaking for myself because my two restaurants are doing okay, and I know a lot of them are right on the edge. I'm really hoping that this doesn't happen.
You, everyone that's watching right here appreciates the vulnerability. Kelly Jackson says this: "We cannot close indoor dining. Many, many people will be out of a job. People out of work. People will be out of work that don't have money right now. We're trying to help them come back by providing jobs to them. If you close our indoor dining spaces, this will affect everyone across the industry and not just people in restaurants." This statement comes in from Laura. "I'm watching on Goodman in Belmont. I love the show. Please tell Daniel we will be there to support him this weekend." Kevin Higgins says, "Daniel just nailed it when he said Mayor Walker doesn't have the facts. A person in a leadership position position that makes decision without facts is dangerous and should be monitored very closely. Daniel, you're getting more props. This is coming in from Spencer. Spencer says, this man has the best happy hour in Charlottesville. My family will be there this weekend to support you, Daniel. Hank Dutton's watching the program. Claire Sullenberg, your former bartender Brad Langdon says hello. He's watching the program right now. What does this mean to you from the community here?
Well, no, it's great. The support really means a lot to us. And again, I don't fault the council or the mayor. You know, I understand where they're coming from, but I really just don't think they have anywhere close to all the facts. You know, I can appreciate the sentiment. I really can. And, you know, we'll certainly be happy to look into other ways. You know, I want them to see how we do things on a day-to-day basis. I invite them to come in. I'm sure a lot of my peers would as well. I don't fault them for what I don't want to attack them. I just want them to understand who we are and what we do and how much we care and how much we feel that this might be a little misdirected.
Your friend Elaina Mangione, moments away. Before we go, Daniel, you've crushed this interview, almost 20 minutes here. How about a final word? Anywhere you want to go, anything you want to cover at all?
I'm just reminded one of my wine reps literally just walked in the door right now, and it just sort of further outlines just how many other industries rely on our industry as well. So it's first the restaurants, then it's the farmers, and then it's the distributors. Everyone is going to get just kicked in the teeth by this whole thing, and a lot of them are not going to survive. So, you know, please let us keep doing what we're doing, because we really are putting a lot of care and a lot of caution into what we do. And, you know, that's all I got. That's all I got.
Daniel, thank you. Thank you. We appreciate you.
For your time. I appreciate it, Gary.
You have a good one.
Hey, take care. You as well.
More comments come in. Elaina Mangione, we're going to get to you in a matter of moments. Elaina Mangione from the fabulous Italian restaurant Mangione's on Main. Mangione's one of the best of the best. Mangione's does not have outside patio seating. We're going to talk about Winter is Coming from Game of Thrones with Elaina Mangione and the mayor's comments on the show. Put up the Facebook post that was published on our Facebook page 5 minutes after our show started. Clearly a reflection of what we're talking about on the show. Give me the thumbs up when that Facebook post is up, please. Patty Zeller says this: so if a business has to shut down, they can just open up another business, according to the mayor. Well, with that logic, if the mayor fails, maybe she can be the mayor of another town. Patty Zeller. Respect, Patty Zeller. Mucho respect for you, Patty Zeller. Lisa Kirkpatrick, welcome to the program. I think she's watching in Northern Virginia. Neil Williamson, hello, and welcome to the program. CBS 19 and NBC 29, welcome to the program. CVille Weekly, welcome to the program. Johnny Garver has a comment. Johnny Garver, the co-owner of Pronto on the UVA corner. Johnny Garver says, restaurants are already barely making it at 50% capacity. I also see more people closely gathered at Costco and grocery stores than in restaurants, but I don't hear any talk about applying restrictions on Costco and grocery stores. UVA parties and gatherings are more dangerous and not regulated by the city than restaurants, and the city is going above and beyond to try to hamper us when restaurants are doing things the right way. We are going above and beyond the CDC and health department guidelines. Johnny Garver, respect. I appreciate that perspective today on the program. Give the show a like and a share on any of these social platforms you're watching on. More comments coming in. This is coming from Louise. Louise lives in Fifeville. Jerry, tell Daniel Kaufman we will be there at Public Fish this weekend to show our support. Thank you for inviting him on the show as a guest. I'm going to reach out to Elaina Mangione now. Judah, it is ringing. Elaina Mangione is ringing right now. She watched the council meeting yesterday. She shared some perspective in the comment section. She's a businesswoman. She's a leader. She helps other restaurant owners. And I've heard this from any other restaurant owners that went through the PPP process and a lot of the stuff that was going on. They said this lady right here was a critical resource for so many. You are live now. You have a hell of a lot of people watching, including 2 city councilors and City Hall. I just say that to you to let you know. First, an introduction to you, and then we'll get to the business.
Okay.
Give us that intro.
Oh, hi.
Hey.
My name's Elaina Mangione. I'm one of the owners with my husband of Mangione's on Main. We moved to Charlottesville a few years ago after long careers in government contracting and working the system up there, and wanted to come to a really great place where community was important, and opening a restaurant seemed like a great way to be part of that community.
Your restaurant banging. The food is fantastic. I love Mick. I love family style. I love the vibe in there. It's priced fairly. The food is good. It's intimate. It's the energy's palpable. I just love everything about it. I will also cut to the chase, which you also know. You don't have outside seating. There is no patio seating at your restaurant. So indoor dining, especially as we go into the winter, as important to you, if not more important to you than just about any restaurant in this area. Can you put that in perspective for us?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have any outdoor space we weren't able to open back in June when everybody was opening their patios, so we were still on a takeout model. When, back in March when we did shut down, we laid off everybody except for 4 people. We had a skeleton crew to do takeout only. Luckily, we had the PPP to help us get through that. We were able to hire some people along the way because of the PPP. We stretched our funds. We were penny pinched. We made every penny work from the PPP, and a couple of small grants from the city, which were very welcomed. But we weren't able to open until like the first week of August. And when we, sorry. Ooh. Can you see me yet?
Oh, we got you. We got you.
All of a sudden, all sorts of things want to happen on my phone. And so when we opened the first week of August, we've since been able to hire almost 10 more people, in various levels of part-time and full-time. And we are operating still at minimum capacity, 50% capacity, which is not even 50% because my intimate space is a lot more intimate than allowing for 6 feet to meet 50% capacity rules. So we currently have 8 tables, I think, and most of the time we probably have about, I'm going to go with about 50 to 60 covers per night, whereas our 100% capacity is 65 when we were in full operation, and we were turning 2.5 times per night. So we're operating probably close to about 25-30% right now.
Can you
even with indoor
seating? Okay, so that's important to emphasize. Moshan offers this perspective. Restaurants are the backbone of Charlottesville. When UVA goes fully remote, we will need our backbone to be strong. Keep the restaurants open. Let's do whatever we can to support them, Charlottesville. When you go anywhere you want with this question. When the mayor makes that Facebook post over the weekend, what was going through your head?
A pachinko machine, like so many things. Just, I mean, it was an outrageous comment, and it was an outrageous leap. For people that want to stay home and stay in their family bubble, I think that's great. I think we've had an amazing amount of support from the community for, when people do come in and they see that we are socially distancing and we are completely PPE'd up and we are taking every precaution necessary and following all of the guidelines. People, even with being served with rubber gloves and masked waiters, they are thrilled to just be out of the house and come down and sit down. So for her to make that comment is clearly somebody that is out of touch with the community. That, I think, probably if that's my takeaway, that's it.
I think that's a great takeaway. Our friends at Peloton Station brought this to our attention late last week and before yesterday's show. The county offering grant money for tents, heaters, and cooling mechanisms to help restaurants make it through winter. The city, alternatively, is having discussions of disallowing indoor dining, and take it to another step. They are insisting that all taxes on outdoor cafes be paid in full, including the taxes that in the rears, by October 30th. I mean, you are a businesswoman. I'm a business person here. The importance of cash flow management is what determines a business's success. So for the city to be going to an industry that's already been destroyed by a pandemic and then say, you need to give us all the money for your outdoor cafes, despite the fact we're limiting how they can be used, is literally like crushing. Can you give me some take on this and perspective on this?
Well, I have no participation in any grants, for outdoor seating. Obviously, that's Albemarle County. But you're right. I mean, last week in our discussions with all the owners about on October 2nd, when the memo came out that all the Cap Bistro taxes needed to be paid, not even being on the mall, I was in complete outrage for all of my friends down on the mall that we're still just, we are struggling. We are barely doing anything. We are putting forth our personal resources to keep things going, and we're not taking any money ourselves, pretty much. And then for the city to come with their hands out saying, yes, but you got to pay. Yeah, I mean, this feels medieval. It actually feels very medieval. Like, you have nothing, but give us your firstborn, give us anything you have. And then to follow that up with the mayor's, and granted, it was on her personal Facebook page, but clearly reflects possibly her, I post lots of things on my Facebook page that are my personal beliefs, but she hasn't done it on the mayor's site, but it's a slap in the face to all of us that have for so long lifted up the community, paid taxes to the community, kept this community strong and employed and provided a community feel, and to kick us when we're down like that is just awful.
Well said, well said. And I want to emphasize and kind of piggyback on something she just said. The mayor has said many times that I'm going to originate information on my personal Facebook page. I'm going to originate this information through Facebook Lives and through comments and stories that I post on this page. I'm going to do that instead of talking to the local media. So for her to post this on her personal Facebook page, it's important to emphasize that is her method of choice for communicating with the Charlottesville populace and the Central Virginia population. This is where she's originating her ideas and her news. So posting it on her personal page is undoubtedly a big deal. This comment coming in, and I'll paraphrase it because it's a long comment. What do you make of the next 4 to 5 months? You're a businesswoman, accounting. I mean, you're a Renaissance woman here. You know business inside and out here. What do you make of the next 4 to 5 months with very chilly temperatures on the horizon, and how it's going to impact this industry?
Asked the same question a year ago before any of this happened. We welcome the cold months. I mean, people love our good, hearty, soul Italian food. We thrive in this climate during, this season's coming up. How do I see the next 4 or 5 months right now? Terrifying, just absolutely terrifying. We're not without concern. I feel for my staff. I don't want my staff to get sick, but do they want to? They want to work. But it's just, the whole thing is just terrifying. We have exhaust fans that circulate the air. We have an open kitchen. The air is constantly being circulated out. We're going to do everything we can at every turn to make it safe for people to continue to come in. And if the city can hopefully either get out of our way or help us, that would go a long way to showing their support for probably one of the largest employers of the city, second to UVA. I mean, we need help.
Well said. I'm getting a lot of people asking me to relay the statement that she said to Lloyd and on council. Even if a business fails, they can start another new business.
My head popped when I heard that. It is and I'm using this word in its pure term. It is an ignorant statement. When a business fails, vendors go unpaid, so they suffer. We lose, we file bankruptcy, perhaps. We lose a lot of personal investment, perhaps. Sure, we come away with our health or our life. I get that. I do. But it is an ignorant statement to say we can just go start a new one. We can't just go start a new one. It takes time. It takes planning. It takes resources. It takes a business plan. It takes securing financing. And I mean, it takes a whole lot of heart. And a lot of us are losing our heart right now. We're losing our drive. We're losing we're exhausted, and we can't just go out and start a new business.
Beatrice Sherman says, keep your head up. We love Mangione's. This community will be there to support you. Lisa Davis says, Mangione's is one of our favorite restaurants. John Kamoff watching the program. Miranda Swain says, Mangione's is a fantastic restaurant. Thank you for being honest with all of us. We will be there to support you. How about a message that you like to relay to everybody that's watching, including 2 counselors?
Thank you to the community for your amazing support. I mean, 6 months into this, we would not be where we are today without you, without your takeout support, without your dining in support since we've opened, without your patience, without your respectfulness when you come into our restaurant, and respect our rules and respect the rules in place to protect everybody, our staff, our customers, and thank you. And we hope we are here for a long time to come. For the council, please listen to us, hear our voices, see our tears, feel our souls just crushing under the weight of what is happening. We would like to think we're one of the backbones of this community, and not just because none of us are getting rich doing this. We're doing this for the love of it.
Great take. All right, 2 more questions for you. Jerry, does the local chapter of the Virginia Tourism and Lodging Association think that there's going to be CARES Act funding coming down to restaurants at the local level? That's a tough question there. We don't have a crystal ball here. Do we think it's going to happen? I mean, we're getting late in the year here.
I hear from a lot of people, a lot of friends up north in Washington, that the bills that are being written that will be passed, nothing's going to happen before the election. Nobody's going to do a single thing before the election. That's another entire month that we have to hold on. And then after that, there's probably going to be a bit of infighting in the government branches. But they say that there will be something in possibly the HEROES Act, possibly the new CARES Act. They've extended certain things already through December 31st for government workers and government contractors. So hopefully they'll start seeing the independent restaurants and independent business owners, as well. I mean, not just restaurants, but find a way to include us in the lift up.
All right, you killed it. Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry. Thanks for having me.
It takes a super strong person to be vulnerable and authentic like you, and I feel like you're just a real person, and that's why everybody likes you in this town. I mean, that's why Rachel Burns and Quentin and all these guys that are they love you. People love you, and it's just because you're a real cool person. And I'll tell you what, I think you have so many people in this town, not only your brand, Daniel's brand, but all the local brands that are going to bust our you-know-whats to get over there and support you guys, wear a mask and social distance and safely. Why don't we close? What's that mean to you? That's got to mean so much.
It means the world. I mean, we've made so many great friends in the short time that we've been a part of this community. And the other thing is I love making new friends every single day at the restaurant. And say hi, tell me that you saw me. Let's have a conversation. Let's chat. I love it here, and I hope we're here to stay for a long time.
Me too. Me too. Thank you. You have a good one.
Thanks, Jerry. Thanks, everyone.
Take care. She's fantastic. I love Mangione's comments. Put the comments in the feed now. Put the comments in the feed now. It's important to emphasize, and I should have done a better job of emphasizing this yesterday. The supply chain tied to the restaurant industry is vast, robust, and significantly deep from a vendor standpoint. Uniforms, payroll companies, farmers. From a produce standpoint, Cavalier Produce comes to mind. Timber Creek comes to mind. Protein, cows, chicken, poultry, eggs. The people that are maintaining the outside of the business, the people that are cleaning the inside of the business. Fred Henderson, the window cleaner, that does a hell of a job cleaning restaurants, the windows and the canopies and the awnings of restaurants everywhere. This industry, outside of UVA, you can make a very legitimate argument. Outside of UVA, the most impactful one in Charlottesville and Central Virginia. I mean, you talk about affordability, and you talk about diversity, and you talk about the fear of Charlottesville turning into a white, rich playground. You get rid of a lot of these restaurants that are creating jobs for people, and that's the direction this city's going to head. Okay? And Barbara Lundgren says, hang in there, Daniel and Elaina. We're praying for you. We're supporting you. I want to close this show by saying this, and I'm going to offer some very pointed perspective, as I usually do on this program. It's getting to the point. It is 110%. All right, here we go. I'm going to go down this road. It is 110% getting to the point where we create some kind of petition or request for resignation and start accumulating signatures from residents, citizens, and business owners in the community asking for the mayor's resignation from council. I mean, how much more do we need to endure over the next 13 months? And she's made a point that she's going to run for re-election. I mean, you got city managers who are literally sprinting for the door and calling her out and Councilor Hill about being impossible to work with. You have city executives, police chiefs, former councilors openly saying how difficult it is to work alongside this person. She says in the world's newspaper, the New York Times, that it's an ugly to the soul kind of place. She's talking about devastating and crippling an industry and doing it in such callous fashion that she makes statements, even if a business fails, they can start another business again. You're able to make statements like that when you've never started a business yourself. And I'm gonna follow what Daniel Kaufman said. Guys, I have 2 kids. I have a wonderful, precocious, 2.5-year-old little boy that is the heartbeat for my wife and I. I also have a 12.5-year-old, these businesses, that need similar nurturing. More time is spent on this 12.5-year-old than on my 2.5-year-old. And that's horribly unfortunate. But that's just the reality of being a small and medium-sized business owner where what happens in here determines the food that my kid eats and the mortgage and whether or not it's paid. So more time is spent with the 12.5-year-old than the 2.5-year-old human. They need to be nurtured, taken care of, pushed in the right direction. They need to be fed, food, another income. I look at it the same. And for someone to make a statement that even if a business fails, you can go and start another one, that is coming from the mouth of someone that has literally 0 business experience. And when she got elected, she was a part-time worker at Charlottesville Park and Recreation. I mean, I'm pretty much, it's the time now where we start getting an online petition with some signatures and start asking for the resignation of the mayor of Charlottesville, Virginia. Someone let her know I said that. I'll tag her in the feed right now. Hold on. Mayor, we are talking about your resignation now on the show. Period. Enter. All right. Ben D'Alessandro, government employees, bureaucrats that have never owned their own small business are unable to walk a day in the shoes. This is why insensitive, dismissive comments are easy to make by government and bureaucratic employees. Amen. 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 Charles Canup Owen. Daniel is awesome, and I tip my hat to him. There's a responsible way to serve patrons, and there's an irresponsible way. I understand there are folks whose livelihoods are on the line, but I see some folks belligerently demanding that rules be damned because they have bills to pay. I think forcing to close indoor dining is wrong, but I also believe there should be very strict rules adhered to or severe penalties as consequences. However, in my experience, the type of folks who think about their pocketbook before the safety of customers aren't usually the ones who agree to follow the rules. I will say this. The restaurants that I have patronized and support and the ones that I see in Charlottesville and Central Virginia are the ones that are going above and beyond the call of duty. Like obscenely, like over the top safe. Over the top safe. And the reason they're being over the top safe is because their livelihoods and that of their employees depends on it. And whoever made this comment, someone said this during the show. Have you been to Lowe's? Have you been to Walmart? Have you been to Costco? Have you been to Wagner's? Have you been to a Food Lion, a Kroger, or a Giant? Why is our leadership trying to drop the hammer on citizens who are busting their ass to hire people, keep them fed, and their clients and customers fed, as opposed to trying to drop the hammer on big box brands with ridiculous, obscene cash on their balance sheet? The most dangerous place in Charlottesville and Central Virginia is the Lowe's on Route 29. You want to know what the most second dangerous place in Charlottesville and Central Virginia is? The Costco on Route 29. You want to know the third most dangerous places? Sam's Club, Kroger, Giant, and Wegmans. But no, I don't hear the mayor talking about we need to shut down Costco, we need to shut down Wegmans, we need to shut down Sam's Club, we need to shut down Lowe's. Instead, she tries to use bullyish tactics to impact the most vulnerable. Patty Zeller, I'll sign that letter, that resignation letter, Jerry. I'll be the first to sign. Set it up. This whole attitude is not good for our city. Patty Zeller. Steve Coppinger, Jerry, I'll sign that letter. Send it to me. Chris Riley, Jerry, I'm in. I'll sign the letter. Send it to me. Jennifer Kraling, I'll sign the letter. I'm in. More comments coming in. It's getting to that point. It is getting to that point. Oh my gosh. Man, Kelly Lewis, I'll sign that letter. I'm in. The callousness of a comment like, even if a business fails, they can start a new one. That's not who you want leading the city. Erin Smith, I will sign the letter asking for her resignation. when we turn our back on our tax base, when we turn our back on the folks that are creating the ways for new jobs to be a reality, when we turn our back on the second largest, most impactful industry in Charlottesville and Central Virginia, and I'm going to include restaurants right there with food and beverage and hospitality. And I'm going to straight up say this. I'm going to straight up saying this. Are you ready for this? Are you on a one shot on me? If she says weddings, are you ready for this, weddings? Are you ready for this, the folks in the wedding and event space? If the mayor says that restaurants and indoor dining needs to be shut down, who do you think is next? Who do you think she's going to turn her attention to next? Weddings and events. Weddings and events. And if you don't think that way, you're not reading the tea leaves correctly. I'm going to give it some thought, starting this letter, putting it on the I Love CVille Network, blasting it across every social media platform at our disposal, a reach that we have that is now the largest in the community by far, and saying, sign this if you think she needs to resign. Because I think it's going to be, I'll put the over-under at 10,000 signatures, and I think we clear 10,000 in less than a week. Do you disagree with me, guys? Ben, if the restaurant doesn't meet your personal standards for safety, then don't attend. Adhere to guidelines and best practices, but make your own personal decisions regarding your personal safety. It is in the vested interest of the business owner to attract the most clientele. They will work to get to know the customer and what the customer likes. Dude, you said it better than I could. Well said, Ben D'Alessandro. Well said. And that's exactly how I feel. That is exactly how I feel. If you do not feel comfortable going in, that's cool. Stay at home. Do curbside. Do takeout. Do carryout. Do Grubhub. Don't do Grubhub. Order directly from the restaurant. Get in your car and pick it up from them, because Grubhub is taking all the profit. Don't do third-party delivery. Don't do third-party delivery. But if you don't feel comfortable going in, don't go in. But we as people, we as Americans, we as Virginians, we as Central Virginians, we as Charlottesvillians, we should not have local bureaucrats who are part-time workers at the Parks and Rec Department telling us what we can or cannot do with our livelihood. That's bullshit. Excuse my language. SWR. I apologize for that, SWR. If someone was telling me what I could or could not do with my business, they would feel the devil's rage. I need to take a break here and get myself composed. This is the I Love CVille Show. My name is Jerry Miller.